This is Steve from Boxing UK in association with Supreme CBD. Delighted to be joined by Joe Gallagher. Joe, how are you? Are you still celebrating?
No, back to work today, mate. And listen, what a great performance by Paul Butler at the weekend. I was really pleased. And listen, how can you compete with Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, and that massive event? But it's hope Paul Butler gets the credit he deserves and the acknowledgement for what he did on Friday night.
Absolutely. It might have been lost in the whole hullabaloo of Fury and Whyte, Joe, but Paul Butler became the WBO interim world bantamweight champion. But yeah, it wasn't just as easy as that, was it? It was a little bit of 48 hours. And
yeah, no, it wasn't. I think that's one of the things, Steve. I don't think I've ever seen it before, or it may have. But for Paul Butler, was due to fight Casemiro. This one of the people say he's like a real top fighter, one of the hot fighters in that division, a world champion. Obviously, we had what happened in Dubai; it never took part, and then here we are again. And then obviously the British Board of Control had him suspended or not allowed to box due to him using a sauna, losing to like 10 pounds in 3 days. And then at 48 hours notice, you're going from fighting a world champion to an opponent who's just as equally tough and who's got a win against the world champion. And I think huge credit has got to be given to Paul Butler, to where I always make the comparison that if Carl Frampton was to turn up to fight Santa Cruz or Nanita Donaire and said, well, Donaire's not available, but Santa Cruz is, to step in at 48 hours would take a big thing. And that's what Paul Butler did there. He went in with Jonas Sultan and a 48 hours notice. And then straight away you're seeing the bookmakers. I think someone in the gym told me today it was as wide as 5-1 as a huge underdog. And for him to go in there and give a boxing lesson the way that he did was very good. Now, the WBO, when they made the fight, the second time round, in their document statement at the end of January said, for whatever reason, Casemiro does not attend the weigh-in, make weight, fail weight. For whatever reason, he doesn't fight, he'll be declared, that belt will be vacant immediately. So when this happened last week, they came out with a show cause for 48 hours to give them why there was a reason, but they never had that in the original document. 4 weeks vacant. And now then they said there's an interim belt, and now they've got to put it before the board. But if it didn't make the scales, and they have said it should have been declared vacant straight away. So anyway, Paul's fought for the interim belt. He beat a world-class opponent in one of his career best performances. And I said to Paul today, well, look on the bright side of it, son. Your interim belt is in somewhere coming across the Atlantic. And by Tuesday or Wednesday, if they do the right thing and you become full champion, you'll have a full belt. I said, so you'll have 2 belts for the one job. So anyway, you'll have to chuckle about it. But listen, it was a fantastic performance by Paul, and hopefully the WBO now do what they said to do.
How do you, as a trainer, Joe, organise a game plan in 48 hours? Because that just seems mental for that level of a fight. Like, you get less than 2 days to put something together.
Yeah, well, we'd watched the Jonas fight, Sultan fight versus Casemiro, and we'd had great sparring in for Paul. Brad Foster, a really good fighter, Marcel Braithwaite. And with them 2 types of sparring partners, I thought it would be right for Casemiro. And then we looked at Jonas Sultan, and it was the same as Casemiro. He was aggressive, his shots, but his feet weren't as good as Casemiro. We knew he could punch. You only had to look at him getting in the ring. And the thing with this as well, Jonas Sultan had been training for 8 weeks. It's not like he was 2 weeks' notice. When I looked into him and started digging, I seen him sparring at the wild card, all types of videos and streams that they do. They were talking about fighting Butler 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. So he had trained. He'd been over England for a week already, hid away in Birmingham, Walsall. And then all of a sudden on the Friday before, I seen a clip of him somewhere training. I thought, wow, he's here. But no one had said nothing to us. So anyway, listen, the footwork wasn't his biggest asset, and that's something that we wanted to use against him. We knew we couldn't stand and go toe-to-toe with him for every second, every minute of the round. But there was moments in the fight then we had to. We didn't want to see like we were running. And you can see that in the fights when he expected Paul to run, he stood his ground and had the exchanges with him. But we knew not to stay there too long, get too greedy and get caught with anything and move on. And listen, he was a fantastic performance.
Yeah, going to say, Joe, despite all that, he was a clear unanimous winner, wasn't he? It was a brilliant performance.
Well, it was. I think Paul said to me after around 8 or 9, do you think that they'll score for him aggression because I'm on the back foot? And I said, well, no, because you're standing and trading. Paul was a bit concerned about that. But I said to him, listen, don't be starting fretting. You're winning. He might be walking forward, but he's not landing. You're hitting. It's shots landing on the target, good 1-2s, good body shots. And good movement. So, listen, fair play to the judges that they all got it right and appreciated the technique and the performance of Paul. He rolled back the years.
Good man. And if it is upgraded, Joe, that'll be Paul Butler, 2-time world champion. What is it with you and Liverpool world champions, Joe?
I don't know. That'll be the 4th world champion for Liverpool. And I'm just finding out at the moment, but I think that'll be the first time Liverpool will have a 2-time world champion. Paul Butler will be the first ever 2-time world champion. So I've asked a few boxing historians from Liverpool and in the trade to try and find out if they can find out. But at the moment, I don't think there is for what we recognise as the 4 main world titles. And that'll be another first then that for Paul Butler to be the first 2-time world champion from Liverpool. So, they seem to be taking all the silverware this year, don't they? Let's not talk about football. Just leave it there.
As an Everton fan, Joe, let's definitely not talk about football.
Hey, I tell you what, you did better than United. I'll give you that much yesterday.
I don't know if that's saying much, Joe. That's the problem.
Well, you beat us, didn't you? So we can't say nothing.
Oh, yeah. Joe, can I ask about you personally? You obviously got Clash of the World title. You've got Paul Butler. Is this an Indian summer for you? And how do you feel personally? Because we've talked in the past. You've taken quite a bit of flack.
I'd say it's an Indian summer. I felt I heard what was being said last year, and my goal was then last year to go, right, okay, then. People were talking as though we didn't have no quality in the stable, and I thought it was hugely disrespectful for the likes of Callum Johnson, Natasha Jonas, Paul Butler, since Charlie Edwards has joined, Mark Heffron has joined. But them 3 initially that I always class as world-class operators. Now, I did say by the summer this year, hopefully, I'd get the 3 elderly people at the gymnasium world titles. And if it wasn't for Callum Johnson having to pull out against COVID and against Joe Smith in January, we may have done that. Frank Warren did his job. He got Callum Johnson the world title fight, but it's COVID. But Paul Butler's got it now, Natasha. And listen, Callum Johnson's in the gym. We've got Mark Heffron going fighting for the British champion. Charlie Edwards is chomping at the bit to get going. Callum Thompson. I'm just trying to think who else that there is at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Jose Burton's back in now going campaigning at cruiserweight. So Marcus Morrison, he's looking for a British title. So there's plenty of life in the fighters in the gym, as well as a couple of prospects now that we're signing. So obviously it's a great start to 2022. Like I say, 2 world champions in the gymnasium.
Good man, Joe. Joe, I can't have you here without talking about Fury Whyte.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of predictions that you made last week, and you said correctly that Fury would win, but Dillian would cause him some scares along the way. Didn't really pan out like that, Joe, did it?
No, it didn't. As well as the event being memorable for the ring walk, I think it's the best ever ring walk. I think the only ring walk that I've seen, not so much for the plyometric of the fireworks and everything else, but more so when Klitschko walked to the ring once and he had all the former world heavyweight champions, the history of the heavyweight division. I don't know if you remember it. It was really good. That was on his walkway that were all on these pillars as he walked to the ring. Well, that was fantastic. That's the best ever ring walk I've seen in this country. And to see him sat in that throne, and I just thought, I wonder what was going through his head, sat there on that throne, looking at a ring and then fireworks. I don't know if you've seen the fireworks, but they were all flying off. And I thought, he must have just got giddy and thought, I can't wait. And did a Batman and Robin run to the ring, didn't he? I mean, it seemed like him and should be real, the new Batman and Robin. So, listen, it was fantastic. And listen, the other surprise, I think, Dillian Whyte coming out starting southpaw.
Yeah.
But listen, it's Tyson, as always, would want a round or two, feel his way around, see what Dillian had. And then obviously Dillian tried to rough tactic him. I did say in boxing news, if Dillian was to have any success, he'd have to, which I thought he might have used a bit of an old Joe Frazier cross-arm style to try and get in and get his way in. And then once he's in, start unloading. And you heard his corner say, keep the shots short. He's coming too wide, he can see them. But Tyson, as Tyson's been, he started growing more and more in confidence. And when he pulled the trigger on the right uppercut, what a shot. What a shot. It was some shot that. And listen, Tyson Fury, no one can deny it. He's number one heavyweight of this era.
Have you seen Dillian's complaints today, Joe, that he said he was buzzed by the shot, but Fury pushing him down after that and banging his head?
And like I've seen on social media, I'll say the same thing. Well, him coming out saying that shows you that he did bang his head, didn't he? Because what on earth you can't. I've seen Klitschko, I've seen other fighters. It's a case of, listen, Tyson hit him and he went down. The push stopped Dillian claiming him or whatever, but he rose, he struggled to get up, he got up. There was a second in the round, but you could even see round 4, he was beginning to be slow on his feet, he was beginning to be a sitting duck, and I thought it was a good call by the referee. The referee was about to let him carry on, but that stumble then made his mind up for him. So, listen, Dillian Whyte, look at the career Dillian Whyte's had from when he first turned professional and then he fought Joshua, how much he's come on and how much money he's made and the big fights he's been involved in. I'm sure there's another opportunity for him. He's just got to go away, rebuild. And like I say, Deontay Wilder, I assume now, will be back in the picture. That'll be interesting. There's some good fights to be made. I'd love to see Deontay Wilder, Dillian Whyte, or Deontay Wilder versus the winner of AJ and Usyk. That's a great fight. They announced Joe Joyce and Joe Parker at the weekend. Another good fight. Yeah. There's rumours of Hughie Fury, Michael Hunter. There's lots of good fights in the mix now, and hopefully AJ Usyk gets done, and that's another good one to look forward to.
Indeed, Joe. All the talk's been of Tyson Fury retiring. After the fight, we spoke to him in the changing rooms, and he's still adamant he's retiring. Is he really going to retire, Joe, and pass up the chance to be undisputed?
I don't think it's a case of. I don't think the undisputed is what's motivating Tyson Fury. Obviously, he's got a very young family. They're all growing up. I think Paris needs a little bit of help. The boys are getting a little bit older. We're getting a little bit more cheeky. Everyone's seen the TikTok of him doing the dance and he's telling his dad to pee off or whatever that time. So Paris most probably needs a little bit of help and they need the dad around a little bit more. I think it was good for Tyson for this camp that he stayed at home and he wasn't in America. And they're used to having him around and Tyson likes being around. So he said obviously there's WWE, then there's also the UFC fight or whatever they do with it. Very much like Muhammad Ali did with the wrestling and all that type in his career. So you can never say never. And like anything, money talks, but Tyson has huge money from the weekend. And listen, I think the huge fight everyone wanted to see was Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. But I think Anthony Joshua's lost to Usyk, being 2 losses now, doesn't really motivate Tyson Fury. And I think the general public, regardless of what Eddie puts out, comparing records, generally knows that Tyson Fury would beat Anthony Joshua. And that fight's gone. We've seen the difficulty in the fight being made between Dillian and Tyson. So that just showed you everything, that the politics in that would never enable that fight. So Tyson Fury, if he does an Andre Ward and goes out at the top, unlike Lennox Lewis, then fair play to him.
Indeed. Joe, last one. When will we see you next out over the next few weeks?
We're supposed to be Callum Thompson this Friday at York Hall. He'll be out. And then we're just waiting on the date for Mark Heffron's British title. And then obviously Charlie Edwards we're waiting a date on. And obviously Natasha Jonas, obviously there's talk of her in that Hannah ranking. So the gym's busy enough at the moment. So we've got a few dates incoming now, and looks like it's got to be a busy summer.
Brilliant, Joe. I'll say congratulations again to you and Paul for Friday.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers. Thanks for allowing to talk about it, and keep up the good work. You're growing in stature now, aren't you? Hey, I've seen you buzzing about now. You're Wembley and all that.
We're getting there, Joe. But I appreciate it because it's without guys like you giving me 10 minutes, Joe, I'd still be sitting in my kitchen doing nothing.
No. Like you say, it's boxing's in a rich fame and form. I mean, what a start. We're in the end of April now, 4 months in the year, and we've already had Amir Khan, do you know what I mean, against Kell Brook. Before that, we had Eubank Williams. We've just had Fury in that. Had some great things. And this weekend, we've got the Katie Taylor Serrano fight, Beefy Smith and Vargas. And then we've got Canelo the week after. We're having, I think, boxing. It's Valdez Stevenson this weekend as well. Boxing's been really good for the first 4 months of the year this year.
Rubbing our hands, Joe.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Sounds good. Look
Lovely,
after yourself, Steve.
No problem. Joe.
No problem.
Might see you on Friday, Joe. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Joe.